I want to talk about the MAGA movement and how it has fueled mainly white, unhealed men and women who carry toxic masculine traits that defend the superior white race distraction agenda by means of keyboard warrior positions, wannabe hillbilly and cowboy personas that have never left their hometown, yet judge others through the eyes of religion and MAGA values. We also have the pick-me, bleach-bong culture vultures who would happily accept misogyny while supporting their MAGA family members and husband. Then there are the Nazis, the Proud Boys, and Christian nationalists that voted for Trump as well, who love just voicing their opinions without first checking their goddamn ego at the door, but instead always exposes their need for dominance and superiority over everyone, expecting people to bend to their comfort level and belief system because they refuse to change within and coincide with others. And I'm also talking to the social media hopefuls who just love using that red hat as a collection plate without giving a fuck what you're saying or doing to the rest of society, nature, and the world as a collective. So if what I have to say pisses you off, then you are 100% of the problem, and you most definitely have toxic masculinity issues, okay? Okay. Dear my God. You try to control others' lives by forcing your belief systems onto people, and you expect everyone to conform to them so that you're comfortable in your own skin. Your lack of disregard to the self-growth of others is exactly why people see you as arrogant, narcissistic gaslighters who can deceive, control, have trauma, live in your feelings instead of face facts and logic, live in fear and comfortability with your ego caused by generational curses, and you severely lack education, basic knowledge, and critical thinking skills. You expose your toxic masculine traits to everyone just by speaking, and you constantly try to normalize your negative behaviors onto society, yet we've all atoned ourselves to just avoid you instead of holding your asses accountable. You're ignorant because you can't coincide with the world unless you have control. You've done a great job exposing yourselves, by the way. You have no empathy for others, and everyone will always notice how negative and shitty you are. You lead with hate instead of love, heartless intent instead of compassion and understanding, and you demean others without accountability for your actions. You try to force personal beliefs onto others by bullying tactics, and a lot of you hide behind Christian nationalism to justify your hatred towards minorities. I love how MAGA continuously tries to control other people's lives. You don't want women to have the right to choose. You don't want gay people to have visibility. You try to dictate the lives of transgender people based off personal opinions and beliefs, not science, not facts, only your ignorant transphobic feelings. You hate people of color and deem them as less than and criminals, rapists, and killers so you can justify your hatred. You shut people down who legally protest through demeaning intimidation tactics. Your favorite things to say are that liberals don't have jobs, have blue hair, and live in basements when half of you can't even spell the words protest, dictator, or fucking fascism. You get rid of programs like DEI because they're not white enough for you, and you know you can't compete against someone educated who has the merits for the job. You know you'll never have unless you do the work. That's why you got rid of DEI, and that's too much for you to do. So you'd rather hate people and take job titles while demanding pick-me participation trophies because you think you did a good job at something. You would hate it even more if your competition were black or feminine or transgender. You'd feel safer and more entitled if a person were white that were picked for a position rather than a black person if it meant having to put your life into someone's hands. You've annihilated libraries full of books that teach visibility, inclusion, history, and culture, and then label them as indoctrination. History that is crucially important to remember throughout time so that the bad parts don't repeat themselves just like they are today. History that is not yours to hide or rewrite. You forced a religion on everyone and think we should abide by Christian nationalism, although there are over 4,200 religions known to man. You're free to practice your own religion. You're not free to push your religious ideology on everyone else until they conform. That is for you and you only. You try to erase history. You try to erase history, especially Black history, trans rights, Native American history, Hispanic and Somalian history, because Your idea of making America great is white gentrification. You voted the same way a Nazi does. You don't like people who don't speak English, and think everyone should conform to your language, your way of thinking, an ego-ridden lifestyle. You don't have a loneliness epidemic either. No one wants to be around an arrogant piece of shit. Arrogance is not confidence, you're performative. And everything you say is a projection from your ego because you can't be truthful to yourself. You think the way you live is best for everyone, and so people should comply with your lifestyle. You hold no accountability for your actions, but it's time we all start making you face your ignorance by forcing liability to your actions. Your ego is way too big, and you live in its fear and comfortability, which keeps you from understanding other struggles due to your unwillingness and desire to grow and change within. You have no empathy or compassion, and you always lead life with hateful rhetoric and destructive behaviors. Everyone around the world looks at you with your red cult hats like you're fucking stupid and completely oblivious to everything and everyone around you. You're arrogant and toxic. MAGA is a made-up white nationalist movement with the idea of forming a toxic masculinity cult full of white, uneducated men and women. Whoever has toxic masculinity traits that can easily be fooled into thinking their social status is under threat from everyone. So the pedophilic white nationalist ring that controls them, MAGA, can function the way it wants to, and Israel can help them drain our finances. Russia can collect our intel, and the pedophile MAGA grandmasters can maintain their lifestyles as pedophilic politicians to keep themselves out of trouble by controlling us through mass surveillance and a forced Christian nationalist state, both of which evade our constitutional rights and freedoms while you advocate, fight for, and ensure a vote to let this all happen. Every one of you in the MAGA movement are infested with toxic masculinity issues. It is most certainly the women also. If you're not toxic, then why are you willing to watch our country go to complete shit under this administration just to happily watch everyone else suffer at your hands that isn't like you? You won't look past yourself nor challenge your mind to grow because change is hard for you. And it's easier for you to stay bland and boring, toxic pieces of white shit. You would have to hold yourselves accountable for your actions. Your red hats and MAGA flags were all we needed to see who was accountable for America's downfall, because we knew they were playing a corrupt genocidal game in the beginning, and you refused to acknowledge that. So you voted for it to happen and were warned many, many times beforehand. We also know it wasn't about grocery prices when you casted your votes for the orange pedophile. This was all about the hateful phobias you carry within and your need for control because you see others as less than you who don't live your lifestyle and have your belief systems. So you love to see people punished for their differences because you can't dare step outside of yourself and look within to find your own individualism. The amount of xenophobia, transphobia, misogyny, racism, homophobia, and white Christian nationalism that your toxic asses have tried to force upon everyone shows us that you were always this way. And now you feel empowered to show your true colors because MAGA normalized what you actually felt on the inside since it was relatable to your feelings of hatred. Society just blindly ignored your red flags while you kept the way you truly felt about things hidden behind our backs by being fake to our faces. You were the problem this whole time. The truth always exposes reality. Everyone else just put up with you and looked past your fucking behaviors. Well, let me tell you something. The beginning of the new world is here. The one this current administration is trying to stop from building. Evil took its last breath of air when it formed the MAGA cult. The old system has been exposed for what it is and is effectively dying right before us all. The system that was built off white nationalism, which is fueled by toxic masculinity. Forget about the next trend. Now is not the time for Starbucks and Labubu and Stanley Cups. We must show our willingness to change the earth so it works for everyone equally. The whole MAGA ideology is to keep us stuck in a negative mindset of toxic masculinity, so corporatocracy takes precedence over our personal growth, and genocide happens throughout the world while we are completely sidetracked and robbed blind because toxic masculinity fights the very change society needs to move forward and prosper in a healthy way. Our current system oppresses everyone but white men. You notice who's fighting the hardest to keep our current system afloat? It oppresses them in a different way, though, from everyone else. They are made to believe their way is correct, and everyone else is beneath them, especially through religion and its chronological order of family members. God, dad, mom, and children. You believe in order of importance in your family instead of treating everyone equally. You post gym pics in front of mirrors because you believe women want muscles instead of knowledge and culpability. You MAGA is also actively just trying to destroy our national parks, draining all of our finances so badly that we will most certainly have plenty more fatalities in America. And what's next is our vulnerable people, food structure, and jobs that AI and robotics are about to completely wipe out and replace. We are already being told to go find trade jobs because AI is about to replace 100 million jobs very soon. And that's only in the beginning of this takeover. The only way to grow out of this going forward is to by standing up for our constitutional rights and to make the change we need by overcoming the tyranny so we can build a new system that gives everyone equal opportunity. We are living under a white nationalist rule while Israel has seemingly taken over our government. Politicians have accepted money from corporate interests such as AIPAC before giving a fuck about the people who have built America and whom of which they represent. And that'll be us. That's us. I know I'm not leaving my nieces and nephews or any other fucking child on this goddamn earth to be enslaved under a white Christian nationalist society with Israel in control of it because a bunch of old white bitch ass white pedophiles in our government who don't want to face accountability but would absolutely love to surveil everyone with Israel technology through Palantir because they can get away with finding new children to traffic through a new surveillance system while avoiding accountability as they control all of us. You caused all of this shit with your vote, MAGA. They're coming after you and your families also. Now is not the time to be arrogant. They have already started implementing full surveillance control in all aspects of society. Wake the fuck up before it's too late.